All right, guys, we're back again for another edition of the Truman Lake Fishing Intel Expert Roundtable Dinner, and I'm surrounded by the Truman Lake experts. They've been on the water for many years. Very fortunate to have them here at Truman Lake Fishing Intel. First and foremost, we have Jeff Falkenberry right over here in the season guide service. Wrapping up duck season right now. He got out on the water today, clobbered the crappie. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But he's mainstay here on Truman Lake. Hunter Bowling, who's also been getting after the ducks here, but also got out on the water today. And Hunter is Richard Bowling's son, both crappie fishing extraordinaires. Richard Bowling's guide service is how you can get a hold of them to book your trips. We have Dylan Stocking of Get Outdoors Guide Service. He just went full-time on the lake at the end of November. He's been fishing Truman for a long time, though, so be sure to give him a call and book a trip. And then last but certainly not least, David Ryan, Dave's Custom Baits. You've seen us talk about those baits here on these videos, and you've seen them in action on some of our bass fishing videos as well, and they freaking catch the fish, so be sure to check them out. Really excited about tonight. So it is January 5th. It is the last day of the Alternative Methods deer season.
Yeah!
We got her done this morning. So that was really, really cool. But we're really excited to get back into the fishing. We're all kind of winding down the hunting stuff. It's been a long time coming for me, chasing this freaking deer. That's taken me about a month, but really excited to get going and chatting about January, what we're looking forward to. Before we dive right into it, a few announcements. Thank you to Nini's Italian Steakhouse and Catering for taking care of us on our dinners here at the monthly Expert Roundtable Dinners. Awesome. It was fantastic. They actually made some deer lasagna for us special tonight, and it turned out to be fantastic. So when you're in Warsaw, Missouri, be sure to stop on by and check them out and stop in and have dinner. Very, very good food. And then I also want to thank Anglers Port Marine for being a supporting sponsor of Truman Lake Fishing Intel as well. I was just down there here this afternoon shooting some video with David McCormick, another one of our contributors, looking at some Phoenix boats. So thank you to them as well. And then the last big announcement that I just decided to do here in the last week, and you kind of inspired it, but we're going to be doing a giveaway on every single one of these videos. So if you're watching this video, since this is the first one of the year, we're going to do 3 Pro Plus membership giveaways. Now, here's how you enter into that drawing. You're going to share this video on your profile. You're going to do the same exact thing that we did with Jeff. You're going to tag 3 friends, but you need to tag those 3 friends on the Truman Lake Fishing Intel page, because the problem is people's privacy settings are weird and we can't always see who shared it, who tagged who. So be sure you're tagging folks on the Truman Lake Fishing Intel page so we know, hey, you shared it and you tagged the people. And I'm going to draw 3 people for this month, and then after that we're going to do 1 Pro Plus membership giveaway every single month. And just, you know,
can't beat that.
No, it's freaking, it's cool. I mean, as I posted here just a few days ago, just in the month of December we had 35 fishing reports up on the website in the month of December. I mean, we're talking off-season fishing for most people. Obviously not for you guys, but that just is going to...
time of year.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. We're going to hear more about that here in a second.
Kind of explain the difference, it's just like anything. When you buy something, there's an upgrade, and there's an upgrade,
right.
And there's an upgrade. Kind of explain the difference between Pro Plus membership, and what they're seeing now.
So there's different tiers. So there is a free membership, which if you are a free member, you can watch this full video. You don't have to be a paying member. The Pro Plus membership is really where you get the really good stuff. Not that this isn't. This is really good too. But the fishing reports is where the Pro Plus membership really sets apart. If you're a Pro Plus member, you're going to get access to all species fishing reports: crappie, catfish, bass, white bass, and hybrids. So you'll have full access to everything on the website. And that's not just fishing reports. There's exclusive videos as well that are only available to Pro Plus members. There's drone videos that you're not going to find anywhere else of all the different boat ramps, different areas of the lake. And that's an ongoing project of mapping the lake from the air that's going to continue for the next couple of years because Truman Lake's 56,000 acres. So that's the big thing with the Pro Plus membership. Now there's also individual species membership. So if you don't care about bass, you can get a crappie membership.
Hey, they said that word.
Yeah. You can get a catfish membership, a white bass membership. So you do have some customizability there, and then you can, if you're not interested in fishing reports and you just want to be able to check out tournament information, you can sign up for a free membership. You get access to the tournament information, these videos, a bunch of other stuff as well. So
Pro Plus is where it's at.
It really is, and it's, for the price of what you would spend to come down to the lake for the weekend. You get all the information for a year from these experts who are out on the water every single day saying, hey, I was in the Grand Arm today, and here's exactly how I caught them. And so you have real-time information on where to go catch fish. So especially if you're a tournament angler, why would you not invest in something like this to get the most real-time updated information without, it just adds to your practice. So
I know I don't speak for, I might speak for myself, but with that Pro Plus, you're going to get information that you're not going to get anywhere else.
Right.
I will 100% guarantee.
Yeah.
From me anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm sure from him.
Yeah.
Right.
So we do our best to be respectful about not talking about GPS coordinates of spots.
Yeah.
But like Jeff just said, they go above and beyond. So does Richard, and it's they're going to give you the goods, and it's just
We
a
take
matter
care of the people that take care of us.
Yeah. So appreciate you guys being members of the website, following these guys, and booking trips with them, because these are the guys that make the website go around. So appreciate it a ton. But that's kind of just breaking down the memberships. That's
There
what
they are.
going on.
3 of them to go.
Absolutely.
Like, share.
Yep.
Tag.
So, and I'll be doing, so today's Tuesday, so I'll probably give everyone a chance to share this video and tag your 3 friends probably through the end of the week, and then I'll draw the 3 winners for January. So, pretty cool stuff. With that being said, let's dive right into it. We've had quite a few duck hunting fools going on, but people have been out on the water as well. So Hunter and Jeff, specifically, you were out today. So let's just chat. What'd you see today? You guys were both going after crappie.
Yeah, we were on different arms of the lake, but I think pretty much the same results. Yeah. We went out this morning and actually we saw Dylan and I pulled down the boat ramp. He's standing by his boat. I'm like, "What are you doing, bro?" And he's like, "Man, the ice is thick," and it was. And he runs a shiny nitro, and doesn't want to obviously tear it up.
Yeah.
And I run a metal boat, and so it was a little easier for me to bust out some ice. I'd probably done some stuff I shouldn't have, but hey.
Yeah.
Anyways, got out on the water, made a whole bunch of circles, washed a lot of ice chunks out, and got us some spots to fish. And it didn't take long, with 48-degree temperatures outside and a nice little breeze. It didn't take long for it to really blow open, where we were able to troll around and look. But just driving in, and looking on the Lowrance side scan, it was like once I got a big enough area, I'm looking. Ball of crappie over here, like the size of a pickup truck. Ball of crappie, there's shad and crappie, big shad and crappie. But just ball over here, ball over here, ball over here. I'll be honest, like the first one, when I seen it, I was like, "Oh, jackpot, waypoint, fish marker." And then I saw another one, then I saw another one, then I saw another one. That's the only waypoint I made. I was like, well, that was stupid. I just drove over and started fishing on them,
Yeah.
And we were dropping double jig rigs. Beaver bottoms, actually, that I cut down really small. I shaved the sides of them off, cut the tail down. The white and chartreuse, I don't remember. I'm not good with the names of them. Bone, something, I think. And then Truman Tornado. And cut them down really small, and I had them on 16th ounce heads. We run double jig rigs. We just wore them flat, slick.
Does it matter how far apart the jigs are, or is there a rhyme or reason to that?
I don't think it really matters too much. I can tell you, though, if you get them too far apart or too close together, there's like a perfect happy medium for myself, because when you catch a fish, especially on the top jig and he flips, if you got too much, then the other one wraps around everything. So you find that happy medium where you're not tangled up. It doesn't really matter for the fish catching part of it.
When you go to tie, it's about that far.
About like this.
Yeah.
12 inches is pretty good.
But it's, if you get them too far apart, then you get that other jig that's every time the fish is flopping, and then every time you catch one, you're untangling those two jigs. So you kind of find that little happy medium that you like right there. And what we're doing is you see this ball of fish, whether it's on I have live sight, which is nowhere near live scope, but or even down scan or traditional 2D sonar, you can see them. But we see them on the 2D sonar and then back up, and they were 8 to 10 foot down, all the way up to about 6, And you drop those jigs down in the middle of it, and they just quit sinking. Sometimes you get a good thump or whatever. Most of the time, they just quit sinking.
And you just lift.
And you just
now,
drop it in, you raise a fish. You drop it in, raise a fish.
In and around structure, or in the open bluffs, or
shad balls.
Okay, so you just find shad balls on the grass. That's it.
Yeah,
drop
big
down.
shad balls. About we were in everything from 33 to 24 feet of water, and yeah.
So 2D sonar is really all you need to find that stuff.
100%.
You don't need live scope or anything fancy.
No, you're just graphing shad balls, just like we've done for 20 years, 25 years.
So did it matter whether you needed to be in creeks, on the main lake?
Nope. I started out on the main lake and was looking, and it didn't matter. And the depth of water didn't matter. They were pretty much all in that same water column from 10 to 12 foot down to 6 foot up, and but they'd be big ball here, big ball here, big ball. I'm talking balls like the size of a pickup truck, but big, here, and here, and here. And they didn't move around a whole lot,
Right.
So once you got on one, you could set.
What was that water temperature?
I don't know. It was frozen. It was frozen when I got there.
On top.
I didn't even look. I broke ice, and I even told the guy that was with me, I was like, we're kind of limited to where we're going to fish. Like, we're going to break out a spot, and that's what we're going to have to fish for the first while, I mean, that's just because there was just so much ice.
Yeah. Does it matter? I mean, is there ever a time where you use different size jigs? Or is it always 16-16?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you want to get down faster, you use a heavier jig.
But you use the same size on both. You're not.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, I'm just curious because that is a method I've never really.
Once you're using like double jigs like that, and it's mainly just for fishing those open water shad balls, it's not something you're going to do around structure because you got twice the chance of getting hung up.
Yeah.
So it's mostly catching open water fish, covering a little more ground, and as for size of jig head and stuff like that.
Plus you catch 2 at a time.
And you catch 2 at a time.
Yeah.
And usually you go, oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
You got 2.
10 inches, yeah.
That's awesome.
Or one hooked in the face and one hooked in the belly.
Yeah. So Hunter, you also made it out today, and I don't know how long you had a chance to get out for, but similar success, huh?
Yep, I got to get out after work today, finally. And I fished pretty close to the marina at Bucksaw, on the Grand. And basically fished like a channel swing in the mouth of a creek. And I used one of Dave Townsend's baits, just another bait company, with a 1/4 ounce jig. And I just used that live scope to chase some crappie around. But I'll be honest with you, a lot of crappie I couldn't get to bite, but I didn't spend very much time on them. But the ones that I did, that did want to bite it, man, they knocked the rod out of my hand.
No.
But there's a bunch of crappie and a lot of good sized ones.
So you were finding individual fish. Were they on timber, or were you going around?
Scattered out, really bad.
Okay.
And when you find 2 or 3 on a tree, then you go off and just find one that's solo by itself. And the one that's solo by itself, I'm going to bite a lot easier than the ones on those trees, seemed like to me. And I was fishing 23 foot of water or less.
So you weren't doing shad balls.
No,
That was completely different
find
story.
individual crappie.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. All right. Well, so there's some of the more recent fishing reports. The month of December was pretty good overall. We were maybe in the woods a little bit more than the water, but we're looking forward to January now. It's January 5th. Dylan, I mean, for you, you've been out on the water quite a bit recently now. You got your truck back up and running, which is good. What do you anticipate? Are you going to be on the same pattern all month long, or what's your game plan?
Yeah, mouths of creeks and channel edges. It's pretty much going to be it for
Till May.
for quite a while. I mean, till end of February probably. They'll start moving back in the creeks once we get through real cold spell and the water starts warming up. They'll start moving back in the creeks.
So, like, what water temperature triggers that type of? I mean, what are we looking for? When do people need to be heading back in there?
1st of March, don't matter the water temperature.
Okay.
You can break ice to get back there and catch them.
Okay.
When it's creek tide, they go.
Yeah.
And that'll be the very first day of March. You go to the creeks.
Okay. So speaking of breaking ice, Sounds like there was some ice being broken today. So, how thick is the ice? Is that just in the Grand Arm? Is that all the creeks? I mean, what's the ice report lake wide?
I didn't see any on the Grand where I was.
This afternoon, probably very little.
Yeah, it's mostly open this afternoon.
Okay.
This morning it was probably, some of it was close to a half. I stayed away from that mostly.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was,
22 degrees this morning and no wind.
So for the guy who's never broken ice before that thinks this is the first day that I'm going to just go for it, what is too much or too little?
On plan.
Don't mind the noise.
whatever you want to
Is
say.
that before or after you've broken your tail lights off of your trailer?
Yeah.
The taillights
Yeah.
are broken on my truck.
Fiberglass boats, half inch or more is too much.
Okay.
I fished a couple years, well, probably 3 years ago. I had that White Ranger boat,
Mm-hmm.
and I fished the day prior, and there wasn't no ice. And I went the next day. We had ice on the little T-boat, and I could have went around it and caught the same fish, but I'm not that smart. So there's a big chunk of ice. So I'm gonna just go through it and get to a new spot. And I start through it. Once you get to breaking ice, you can't back out because it's closing in on you. So I'll ride up on it and fall through, up on it, fall through it. I get through it and we catch our fish, but when I pull out of the water, I've done $3,000 worth of damage
That's too much on the fire.
to the fire. It pushes the sides in. You ride
Half
up on
inch
it,
is too much.
and it was knocking chips out of the bottom of that Ranger boat.
Oh my gosh.
$3,000. So it was not a money making day.
Yeah,
And I could have went around it and never touched the ice.
right.
Wasn't that smart?
Yeah, it's
That-
half inch is too much, and it's one thing to cut through, like he said, some ice, but it's when you start those turns and it's coming in the side of your boat. If it's that thick, what I was doing today was at the ramp. It was kind of open, and
Yeah.
I run a big wave, and I get that wave going and kind of bust that ice up where it's not one big solid sheet, so it's now just a bunch of big pieces, and then you kind of move that ice out of the way.
Yeah.
Kind of go that route, but
Gotcha.
still not smart.
And when you go ahead.
Usually at the upper end, Tebow, the Sparrowfoot area, Bucksaw, you can go to the lower end of the lake and be out of the ice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big water.
Yeah. Your metal boat, are you the half inch rule of thumb? Is that
Yeah,
all
I wouldn't.
boats?
I wouldn't try anything over that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna just rip paint off, and
Yeah.
I wasn't to the point today where I was tearing stuff up. I was very, very careful, but yeah, it's all in what you want to tear up. I mean, I don't want to tear my stuff up.
Right.
And
But
then too, once you get there, you've got to knock a hole. So
Then you gotta have a spot to fish. Yeah.
So it's really a pain in the butt.
Yeah. So down in the lower lake, it sounds like there's maybe a little bit. Well, I don't know. The pattern you described today sounded pretty similar to what they were
it'll
doing
work.
in the lower
Yeah,
lake.
it'll work pretty much on the.
Steve Blake's been talking about getting on the bluffs, looking for the shad balls, 18, 22 feet deep, one crank, two cranks off the bottom, boom, done. So
Limits.
yeah. Interesting. Okay. So that's gonna be the pattern for the foreseeable. Well,
Wow. Yeah. Next 60 days anyway.
yeah. Okay. So let's talk catfish then, because catfish seem to be picking up and doing really well. What's the story on catfish? Have you had a catfish trip in the last week? And you had some a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we caught them 3-4 foot of water on the main lake flats.
Yeah.
Where the wind was pushing the balls of shad or the dead shad.
Yeah.
Shad. Threw out 17 poles and
Yeah.
It's this time of year. You can catch catfish. It's probably the best for novice or amateur fishermen to get out because it's as easy as it gets, and you can do it from the bank very, very, very successfully.
Right.
You can get on a flat bank where the wind's blowing onto, and fish from the bank and catch them in 1.5 feet, 2 feet of water.
Wow.
Easy. I mean, good fish.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about dinkers. I'm talking good fish.
Yeah.
yeah, most people think this time of year catfish go deep, crappie and all. They go shallow.
Well, it's kind of interesting because Cody does still find them fairly deep over in the Palmy.
In that cleaner water.
That's kind of
Real
yeah.
clean water.
Yeah.
But yeah, up here in the Grand where it's nasty.
Muddy.
It's
Yeah.
3 inches right now.
Yeah.
It's muddy and it warms up on the sunny days. When it's sun and wind both warm water. I know
Right.
people, you don't think that cold wind would warm up the water, but it does.
Pushes some shad up.
And it pushes those shad up, and that muddy water warms up a lot quicker than that clear water down on the deal. So, those fish will, if the dead shad will move up there, and then the live shad will go with that warmer water as well. So those catfish move right up there.
Anytime you get that south-southwest wind this time of year, That
Thumbs up.
that warms it up.
Yep.
So, did you guys? I'm just kind of curious, and this is a side note. We didn't plan ahead for this question,
Right.
so might be catching you guys off guard, and you might not have read this at all. But did you read that Chris Brook update that he put out?
I did.
What were your takeaways on that? I mean, sounded pretty positive overall.
Oh, on the crappie?
He had put out a big report on he basically Chris Brook is the Truman Lake biologist, and he just kind of did a whole big post about some of the things he's been working on the last several years.
He's doing some awesome things and getting some awesome intel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's doing some serious fisheries study that's going to make great impact on Truman Lake. Coming up, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he said basically the 2019 spawn was outrageously good because of the high water.
Yep.
Now, it was so good that in certain arms of the lake, it could potentially create a overpopulation if we're not careful about it. And sounded like he was, folks need to keep their limits. Sounded like the Tebow arm might be one of them that's impacted by a lot of black crappie.
Yeah, lots of black crappie.
So, just something to be mindful of, because I'm reading a quote. He says, "I was tired of measuring 5 to 6 inch black crappie."
Yeah.
There's a lot of them down there. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Tons. I that's where I was getting my bait at for the catfish trips the day prior. And right there by the Windsor Bridge, it's not a secret. That's where I was catching them.
Mm-hmm.
And I went a day later, and I'd see the big schools thinking that was in shad, and I'd throw that net on an 8-foot net, and it's all you could do to hoist it up, and you'd catch 50, 60, 70, every one of them, 5, 6, 7 inch black crappie. So I'd go to the next school thinking, there's my shad,
Yeah.
Same thing, they're not very deep, just like shad would be sitting, all be crappie. I never caught a keeper crappie in my net.
Wow.
And you could do that today. Those fish that were really high, like they'd be like 4 or 5 feet under the surface, and you'd think they were a big ball of shad, you know? And you'd throw that crappie jig out there. Ding!
Yeah.
Most of them just
They got them,
They
and
just
it's
swipe
got
that
good
and
fish
walk
in
along.
years to
Some of them
come.
couldn't even get it in their mouths.
Crazy. There's a lot of fish over there.
A couple other interesting points. So 742,327 hybrids were stocked in 2019 and 2020. Largest number of hybrids ever stocked in Truman Lake over a 2-year period. He said it'll be a few years for those fish or trophies, but there will be a lot of 15 to 18 inch fish this year.
Cool.
So that's pretty cool, because I believe before 2019 they skipped a year of stocking, if I remember correctly. Or was it? I swear I read that. I don't know. So
an 18-inch hybrid is going to shred you.
yeah.
I mean, that's not even a big one, but they're fun to catch.
So one of the other things you mentioned, because of the most recent bass sampling, there was poor water conditions, so they didn't really get very much good data out of the largemouth bass. But I think anybody who's a part of the bass fishing world knows that Truman Lake's probably going to be pretty damn good for the next couple of years.
Yeah, on the rise.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that, Truman isn't necessarily known for being a wintertime bass fishery. If you were going to go out on Truman, what would you be doing? Where? Why?
Well,
He says, I'll go to the pond.
Don't jerk bait.
Yeah.
I'd throw my Dave's Custom Baits Black Market 110 and probably a Missouri shad is where I'd start. And I'd probably start. See, and that's the thing. It can be 36-degree water temperature.
Yeah.
And if we get a couple of days of sunshine and you don't have that north, northeast, northwest wind blowing, you get some nice southerly winds blowing from the south, southwest, and it doesn't have to blow hard.
Right.
But that sun's out. Just the sun penetration, those bass will get up in shallow water. People don't really realize that, and obviously they're not going to get up there if the food's not there.
Yeah.
So it's a combination type deal.
Mm-hmm.
They're sunning themselves and the food. Gosh, I'd fish swings. I'd fish swing banks that are gravel.
Mm-hmm.
Is what I would do. And then if that didn't work, because that's where your biggest ones are going to get caught. That's the same principle we use at Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah.
But that's where the biggest ones are going to get caught. Then, if that doesn't work, I'm going to backtrack. And I'm going to fish chunk rock to pea gravel, or I'm going to fish bluff transitions to chunk rock. You know, somewhere in those rock transitions, especially if you might have a pile off the bank, or a laydown, or cedar tree that's standing.
Yeah.
You know, those are places where they're going to be. You're going to catch them.
Yeah.
I mean, I always, in the wintertime, I always like to fish for the creek fish rather than fish for main lake fish when it comes to bass, because those creek fish have a tendency to get shallower faster. And when they're shallow, you can catch them. I mean, those bass that are out there on a main lake point, I mean, your timing has to be impeccable to be there when they're there in the right depth zone to bite. You know, so I'm just a creek guy until it gets a lot later.
Yeah.
A lot later.
Yeah. So jerkbait's the thing, and there's nothing else that you would really rely on at this point.
Me myself, I'm a jerkbait guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just won too many tournaments. I've won too much money throwing a jerkbait. I feel like it's one of the things that I do well, and I can cover a lot of water.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm gonna go out and break every golden rule that everyone's ever read. I'm not the guy who throws it out there and jerks it and lets it sit.
Yeah.
I don't have any desire to do that.
I'm really glad you brought this up, because I was just getting ready to ask you about this.
And it doesn't have to be big jerks,
Yeah.
but be active.
Great.
Because what's a shad do when he's cold and he's in the water? Twitch, 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 like that. It's like, he's not just sitting there going.
Right.
Sometimes they do. Right before they die, they're like that.
Yeah.
They're like,
When they're floating down.
okay, it gave up the ghost.
Yeah.
But no, it's like active, and there's a difference between fishing fast and blowing through water, and making lots of casts in a small area, which is the target zone. You know, if my jerkbait lands here, and then it lands 10 inches away, and then it lands 10 inches away, the next cast, you're saturating your high percentage areas, and you're making them bite.
Yeah.
And I like to make them bite.
Yeah.
I don't like to be on the other end waiting for them to bite, because that's what you call waiting, not fishing, not catching. So that's just me.
Yeah.
So, and the perfect setup for me is I'm going to throw a 6 point something, 6.2, 6.4, 6.8 gear ratio reel. I'm going to throw 10-pound fluorocarbon. I'm going to throw my personal favorite size rod for a jerkbait is that 6.6, 6.7 length. I like to jerk it down. I'm not a side jerker. I'm not a back jerker. I like to jerk it down, because when you jerk a stick bait down, it makes it do different stuff.
Yeah.
It makes it dart better. And when you get to where you're jerking that bait and you throw slack to it, you can make a jerkbait turn around, and it will turn its head and almost come back around. Like you've seen some of the glide baits.
Yeah.
And when you throw slack to it, you can make it turn around. You can do the same thing with a jerkbait.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit, but if you practice and you're able to see your bait and get a cadence down, you can do those things. And those are really cool tools to have in your toolbox.
Yeah. So kind of interesting, when we were just down at Englishport Marine, someone in the shop was talking to David McCormick about jerkbait fishing specifically, and was swearing by whatever expert taught them how to do jerkbait this time of year, and it was 2 down jerks, down, and then up. Like, that was the cadence, and that was like the magic number. And they apparently have used this cadence, down, then up, on the 3rd jerk, and have caught a buttload of fish. And not necessarily Truman Lake, but just in general. And
so this is what that does, because I know what every jerk angle does with the jerkbait.
Right.
It dives. When you jerk up, it makes it come up. It throws its head back, and it makes it come up. Well, if this fish sees twitch, and then all of a sudden you jerk it up, it's just done something erratic. It's done something different, and that's, whether he knows it or not, that's the triggering mechanism to make that bass bite.
Just a reaction.
So I up twitch a lot. I was talking about those days where they get up there, they get shallow in the wintertime.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about 1.5 foot, 2 foot of water. Lots of times you don't get the bite unless you throw the bait to the water's edge.
Yeah.
It's got to land right there. If it lands this far away from the bank, if it lands 10 inches away from the bank line, you've just now thrown it on top of them. Because lots of times they will be facing the bank.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I've thrown it to the bank, up twitch, because if you jerk it down, you're going to break the bill off bait.
Yep.
You've landed in no water, up twitch, and you see a boil.
Yep.
You're like, I either spooked something or, I've got an 8-pounder. That's what happens is that those big ones get up there, they're sunning themselves, they're looking at the bank. And that's where you need to land it. I mean, this is stuff that I'll get hate mail for this because I've just given out some pretty salty information because guys have fished their lifetime and not stumbled on this. And it's crucial. It's crucial fishing in the wintertime going into spring to know your different days and what needs to be done, the different areas of the lake, whether it's here on the lower end, here in the midsection, here in the upper ends, because the upper end jerkbait stuff exists at Truman. It doesn't exist long though, and the volatility is off the chart because it takes one cow pissing on a flat rock over in southeastern Kansas to muddy up everything, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I won't be throwing a jerkbait here in this 38-degree chocolate milk.
You know, one thing with your actions on your rod too is, and this is something that I don't care what kind of fishing you're doing though, but you always have to be ready to set the hook.
Right.
You know, so if you're down twitching a bait and then an up twitch at the bait, you're there for that. There's that pause right there when it up twitches, you're there.
Yeah.
Boom, you're there.
Yeah.
You know, whether on down twitch, you know, you got to be ready for. We see it a lot crappie fishing, especially you see some of these guys live scoping, these fish are high in the water column. Well, for years everybody's like got their 10-foot rod and 10 foot deep, so they're like this, and this fish is way up high, so they're up here. Well, when the fish bites, I can't do anything else, right? You know, you always got to be just like I've always said in turkey hunting. No matter what, if you set down, you get in position to kill the bird.
Right.
Like, and you're not just setting down to take a break or nothing. You're in position to kill a bird. Right. Same way. When you're fishing, every time you pitch a bait, every time you dip a bait, every time you cast one and tie a line down and put it in a rod holder, be in a position to set the hook.
Yeah.
That's crucial. I mean, you're setting yourself up for success rather than failure. Because a lot of people just, like what Jeff was saying, they get caught up in the moment. All of a sudden they're like, what I like to call ass out of shape, because all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I got a bite. I can't set the hook. I'm screwed.
And you're reeling, you know, you flipped out a brush hog or whatever, and then you raised it up and you dropped it down. Now your lines went slack, and you're trying to tighten the line and reel at the same. And now you're like, crap.
Your high stick.
Yeah.
It's like, nowhere to go.
Yeah.
It's like always.
So that's really crucial. Jerkbait, spinnerbait fishing, crankbait fishing. It's always crucial to be in a position to set the hook.
Yeah.
If you're down, you don't want to be up against the edge of the boat, downstroking a jerkbait.
Right.
You know, boom, boom, boom against the edge of the boat. If the fish hits it, you got nowhere to go.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I can think of countless times this year in my lake in my that I've succumbed to the unpreparedness of having to set the hook. So.
Just always something to keep on your mind.
Yeah,
it is.
Absolutely. Let's shift gears. We'll come back to some of the fishing stuff, but let's shift gears to a couple of topics we kind of chatted about as ideas before we started the show. Family outdoor traditions around the holidays. So we just had Christmas, we just had New Year's, and I thought it was kind of cool. My friends list on Facebook has grown a lot just here in the last 6 months since we started this, and I've seen several folks just posting, their stuff. Hey, it's Christmas morning. We're doing our Christmas morning duck hunt, our Christmas Eve or Thanksgiving Day, whatever it is. And so I thought it'd be kind of cool, you know, for those of us here that do have the tradition going. Jeff, it sounds like you kind of have something, and just to share with, just as ideas, because I think there's a lot of us out there like, gosh, you know, the whole family's into it, and especially on a year like this year, where maybe not everyone got the whole family together. It would have been a great year to maybe start that tradition.
Yeah.
So just some ideas on what people are doing.
Yeah, so there's always dates that stick out in your mind for different things. But, you know, opening day of duck season, we've always, when my dad was alive, me and my dad, my uncle, my little brother, we always hunted opening weekend of duck season together. We always cooked in the whether we were in the boat or in the bottoms. We always cook a big breakfast, and we always just have we've done it for years and years, and we still carry that opening weekend.
Yeah.
We still do that. Thanksgiving Day, it's usually me and the wife and the kids. We go, and if we shoot some, fine. If we don't, fine. Christmas Eve's the same way. Christmas Day morning, it's I guess you would call it a tradition. It's a adage I learned from a mentor of mine, Johnny Everhart. Ever since I was a little bitty kid, we've talked about it a million times. And we go to the duck blind and we'll watch ducks and everything else. But for whatever reason, you know, Johnny's mother told him when he was young that every living creature had a special place in its heart for the birth of Jesus. So nothing deserves to die on Christmas Day. So we might go hunting, but we don't shoot anything.
Oh.
And that's some of our duck hunting traditions. But as for fishing, we don't really have any days set aside. Richard and my dad and I fished on his birthday, which Richard and my dad share the same birthday. So usually around there we try to get out or do something, or hang out or do something around that time. But that's about it on the fishing side.
Yeah. Well, it's really cool, and you know, for me, we don't really have an outdoor, but the only thing I can think of is I'm always in the woods on October 31st.
Oh yeah, that one too.
That day is my favorite day. It's like that mixture between like they're starting to get amped up, that chasing, they're fighting.
Daylight to dark.
October 31st. Don't know what it is about that day. I mean, it's a great time around.
Him and I talk about it all the time. Try to hunt daylight to dark.
Yep.
Wait till you get older and you have kids that hunt.
Yeah.
Because your daylight to dark, you know, like last year, it was like we're all ready for our Halloween hunt. Daylight to dark. Everybody staying in the stand. 7:30. My son's like, I stuck one. I need help.
Yep. So
Help yourself.
yeah, that's right. But Richard, it sounds like, I mean, you guys might have had a new family tradition start here recently.
Yeah, we did. My grandson Grayson, which is 7 years old, him and Hunter and his daddy and a good friend of ours, Denny Hartman, which you know well. We went on a big duck hunt, and you know, 3 days prior to that, I took him every single day. Had a ball with him in the blind, and just like Jeff talking about his nephew, I guess it is.
Yeah.
There's nothing like having them kids in the blind, so that's going to be every year thing. Me and Hunter's done it and Denny's been trying to do it around Christmas every year.
Yeah.
Now we've had the little guy in there. Man, it makes it a lot more fun. There is not a dull moment in the blind. He plays Jingle Bells on his duck call, and Hunter hates it, but I've done that for years, and he just hates it. So I got little man playing Jingle Bells on his duck call. Just anything to piss him off. It don't take much.
But I remember when it was irritating him, when he first got started, and taking him on youth weekend, he's getting duck calls and trying to learn. Richard say, I'm going to wring your neck, Jeff.
I was trying to watch in that video that you posted. Every time Hunter would get up and Grace would just sing.
Hunter's a good duck hunter.
Yeah.
I consider him. He's learned from Jeff and Johnny and different ones. He's a
good
good
at
duck caller. He knows how to put himself in the blind. And if you watch my video on Facebook, and I shot it for about 2 minutes, Hunter was working these birds and they was spinning. And so they'd be behind us, and Hunter would get up and watch where they're coming and talk to him. You know, Grace would, you know, he don't sound like a duck at all, but he's trying to make the same cadence that Hunter's doing. So he's looking around, and you know they're coming around. So Hunter sits down, and he'd sit down with his calm, real quiet, and then maybe chatter to him a little bit, and then they go around. Everything that Hunter did. I mean, 2 peas in a pod. They could have been in the same pants.
It's awesome.
It was great. He was getting there on the single
He's
quack.
going to get it down. And I remember me and Johnny and Jeff and Hunter and Linda used to do the radio show there at Everhart's every week. And I can remember Johnny Everhart told Hunter, But Hunter was a little bitty turd.
Mhm.
When you go in the house and blow them duck calls and tell your mom that it scares the
Keep
spiders.
spiders
Yeah.
away.
And then we go through the I don't want to destroy him myself, but
I remember they used to make him go outside.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he couldn't blow. Lynette said, "No duck calls in the house."
he'll be beating on the door.
He told me, he goes, I looked her down in the window at the door and sitting on the couch. I'd just be, bah, bah, bah. Shaking his head.
Yeah, so that that's what we're going to start doing every year. And I've got 2 more grandsons in Nebraska. I'd love for them to come down and be a part of it, but long ways to come. But
Yeah.
that's going to be every year.
Yeah.
It's cool. Looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's cool. And it's always cool whenever there's like a specific day where it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
everyone knows, don't be planning jack anything else. This day is for this, and that's what we're doing.
That's our opening weekend of duck season.
Yeah.
And it's just like your deer camp.
Right.
I mean, your deer camp. I've
Oh,
been
it's
to
my
Richard's deer
favorite day of the
camp.
year.
And you know, his brothers and family comes down and they make hot wings, and you
Yeah.
know, you have to go on a grocery shop, you
Right.
know, just like our duck season. We have to go on a grocery shop. We know the stuff we need. We need paper plates. We need plastic forks. We need this. We need this, and we buy it all. You know, and it's like Christmas shopping
To me, it
for
is.
Christmas Day,
That's
but
my
it's
favorite.
but it's getting ready for that hunt or that
Mhm.
weekend or that day or whatever.
Our deer season, we've been doing the same thing for
Long time.
20 years at the house
Yeah.
that me and Lynette have.
Mm-hmm.
Friday night it's a big barbecue. Saturday night it's fish fry. Sunday night it's pizza. Monday night it's hot wings. And it's been like that forever. So everybody knows the exact menu,
Mhm.
but they're looking forward to it when they come up.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody's welcome. These same guys have been there for years. And that's what we do.
Yeah.
It's a tradition.
That's very similar to us. We go over to our buddy Jim Hanson's. It's steak and potatoes and all that. Night 1. Night 2 is Mexican at El Camino Real, and we've got the big margaritas going. And night 3, we're doing something over here, and one night is barbecue. I mean, it is. Everyone knows what to expect. Like there is you don't have to write it down. Everybody just knows this is what the menu is going to be for the 5 nights that everyone's here, and
You can call my wife, my aunt, my mother, my sister-in-law. You call them and ask them, you know, and they'll tell you it's all the same.
Everybody knows what each person knows what they're bringing, what they're in charge of. It's just a very cool when you do get something going like that. It's very, very cool. And so, you know, if you haven't started anything like that, it's never
a new year to start.
Yeah, that's right. 2021, time to get something going, and I mean, you'll definitely love the hell out of it. It'll be a lot of good memories and be the source of a lot of happiness. So that's cool. That's really cool. I wanted to touch on that, the family outdoor traditions. We talked about this ahead of time as well. I didn't get a lot of great feedback from the guys here on this one, but the idea of New Year's resolutions and do we have any New Year's resolutions? And specifically related to fishing, if any. So the answer was there was not very many answers when we were discussing this, but I'm bringing it up because if you do have a New Year's resolution, just in general, let's hear that if it's outdoor related. I've got a couple that I'm going to throw out there. Jeff, you had a really good one that I wanted everyone to hear about because we got a hunting and fishing audience that I think would really appreciate what we were talking about earlier.
Well, one thing that we see, because this could turn in how much time?
Yeah, right.
Everybody is getting so in tune with social media now, and YouTube and webisodes and everything else, and what you see on any outdoor platform, whether it's bass fishing, cat fishing, crappie fishing, deer hunting, duck hunting, whatever. Every time I see people posting a picture, especially deer or whatever, but it's almost like they have to defend themselves for what they've done. A guy posts a picture of a buck, and it might be a 120-inch 8-pointer. Maybe it's his first buck. And the first words on his post is, well, I know he's not the biggest deer out there, but I'm sure happy with him. Mm-hmm. Well, cool. Like, you don't have to ask for forgiveness for shooting that deer. Right. Or somebody with a big old catfish, Man, I'm really excited, I caught my biggest catfish in my life and take it home and show the folks and have a fish fry. Good for you. Don't banter people. The bantering on Facebook will turn so many people away from the outdoors. And it puts just a bad taste in your mouth. but not just the people doing the bantering. Don't defend yourself.
Right.
You're
proud.
posting that
Right.
because you're proud of what you've
Right.
done.
Right.
Don't automatically defend yourself when you haven't done anything wrong.
Right.
Right? I mean, beauty in a trophy is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
And one man's trophy might be different. Some guys like blonde, some guys like brunette.
Yeah.
Somebody's trophy might be different. It's all different. But don't automatically feel like you have to defend yourself when you post something like that, and don't be the person that makes people feel like that they have to defend themselves.
Don't diminish what they've done, because they are enjoying their moment.
Absolutely.
Because they've put forth the effort. They've caught this fish. They've killed this deer. They've killed this whatever. They're super excited. Let them enjoy their moment. And
Exactly.
And it's social media is bittersweet.
Yeah.
It's a
It is.
necessary
Yeah.
evil.
Yeah.
It is. It's a necessary evil, and things get so misinterpreted.
Mhm.
And if we went back to days where we didn't have it, kind of imagine that. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's just, I'm not a big resolution guy, but I do feel like we can always be better people.
Right.
And don't make things more than what it is. Don't cause somebody to have to defend themselves, and don't defend yourself.
Right.
If that Jake is the only legal bearded bird that you saw, and
Kill it.
I love fried turkey,
Right.
shoot it.
Right.
Am I going to shoot Jakes?
Yeah.
Well, I may. Who knows? But it's not. I'm not going to judge a guy that does.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so just be real careful with this social media stuff. 2020 was rough on many different things. But
Oh, gosh.
I even have people. I have guys call that. Maybe called Richard or called Dylan, and they were booked or whatever, and they'll say, "Well, I'll be honest. I called you competition, but they were booked up, whatever." These guys aren't my competition.
Right.
These guys are my buddies that do the same thing I do.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And that's. But we all look at that the same way. We're not competing,
Yeah.
and I'm not defending myself to these guys, and these guys aren't putting me down for what I'm doing.
Right.
We're not going to do that.
Right.
And I just want to see people be better people,
Yeah.
especially in the outdoors, when it comes to things like that.
There's lots of seats at the table, and we all just want a seat.
But what about the people that are keeping that 5-pound largemouth bass?
You know what? It's fine. If that's the biggest bass I've ever caught, 1 5-pound largemouth isn't gonna.
Hey.
It's gonna kill me inside. But, okay. It's like, it makes me break out in sweats, but hey, I'm happy for you. Oh my god.
That might be. I just bring it up because I know that's could get us in trouble too. But that is one of the worst offending things I see, especially in fishing groups.
Right.
Someone holds that 5-pound bass up that they kept, and it's clearly dead. And you want to talk about the floodgates of comments?
That's because bass tournament fishing has been around before anything.
Yeah.
Before boats had live wells.
Right.
Before catfish tournaments, crappie tournaments,
Yep.
squirrel hunt tournaments. I don't care. Bass fishing.
Right.
Bass tournament fishing was here before anything.
Right.
And that's why you have a long legacy
Mhm.
of bass tournament anglers.
Yeah.
And when that started, they would put them all on stringers. It was a 12 fish limit.
Yep.
They put them all on stringers,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't be catch and release.
Yeah.
Ray Scott's the one who started the catch and release tournaments,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was 68 or 69 is whenever he started that.
Yeah.
But prior to that,
Yeah.
they all got their heads lopped off.
Yeah.
And Truman went through just talking about Truman like itself. Truman went through some really bad times.
Yeah.
As far as bass is concerned, we're on the uptake now. We're on a good cycle. We've had several good spawns, and I'm probably a little bit more critical. I would rather you throw that. I would rather see you keep 10 2-pounders than I would one 5-pounder, just because of the eggs and the reproduction possibilities and all that. The genes, don't kill the gene pool.
Right.
I preached that for years, but now, whenever you take the surface acres
Yeah.
and 1 5-pound bass,
Yeah.
and it's the biggest bass that this person's ever caught,
Right.
hey,
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's
That's
cool.
the thing. We see it all the time. I don't think I've ever seen anybody clean a limit of bass.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
I've seen people come in with their crappie,
Right.
and have a bass or two.
Right.
Yeah. But I've never seen anybody. One, you can't get past the smell.
Right.
You know?
It smells like money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But rarely do you ever see it just because
probably-
people don't do it.
We don't know what that smells like.
So much more desirable
Right.
fish out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
like butchering a cow.
Yeah.
Most people are going to go butcher an Angus or butcher a Hereford or butcher a whatever. They're
Right.
not going to be after a Guernsey dairy cow.
Yeah.
To eat.
Right.
So it's kind of that situation.
Yeah, no, it's a great
No for money.
It's a great point. It goes both ways. Don't be the one that's qualifying what you're posting out there. Like you got to be sorry for what you did, and don't be the guy that's making everybody feel like they have to do that.
Yeah.
It's
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, when I shot that buck this morning, the one that I'd been after for a month, a bonus buck, and outsmarted me every freaking step of the way until today, and I did the exact opposite thing, opposite side of the farm. No one sat there all year and got him. It just kind of put it into perspective for me, thinking about all these folks that they go out and they deer hunt, public land, or they have their one weekend and they shoot. I'm like, God damn, like I spent so much time chasing this deer, and he happened to be a nice deer. But I'm just thinking to myself, gosh darn it, that I'm sure very excited about getting this done. Like this was a target deer. I targeted for a month. I lost sleep over this freaking deer. So like to me, it just reiterated the fact, like man, if you spend time and money going after an animal or trying to catch a fish and you want to keep it and eat it, like by all means, like it's a free country. You can do it and be happy about it. Be proud.
And
So-
if you're not posting it to be proud, just don't post it.
Right.
I mean, whatever. But
Right.
But I mean, don't do that and feel like you have to defend yourself
Right.
when you haven't done anything wrong.
yeah.
Just all be better people and raise people up instead of put people down.
No, I think that's a great New Year's resolution for anglers, for hunters and outdoorsmen in general, and social media users in general. Social media is a blessing and a curse, like you said. So hopefully everyone can take that to heart and, even if it's just like
Even if
withholding that one comment that you normally would have made, just withhold. I mean, it's progress. So anyway, really great. Love that one. As far as other New Year's resolutions, so I'll throw out a couple for me that I'm going to work on. So first one is I am going to fish some tournaments this year, some bass tournaments. One of my buddies back in Joplin's got a boat, and he wants to do it, and it's not going to be because we're trying to win money. It's because we're going to get our butt kicked.
Don't give me no mates.
Yeah.
There we go. Here we go.
And but just to kind
Whatever
of,
you want.
for me, it's to get the experience. I'm kind of a competitive person, and I think that'd be fun to do. But you get to learn a lot in a little bit more pressure situation to figure out, what I need to do to make adjustments to go catch largemouth bass, which are my favorite fish to catch. So I'm just really looking forward to that. And then also, part of it is getting more exposure for Truman Lake fishing until with all the guys that are on Truman all the time. So that is one of my New Year's resolutions, and I'm going to do it. So
You'll be guiding by 2021.
yeah, that ain't happening. That ain't happening.
It happens all the time.
Nope, that ain't happening. That ain't happening. That's you guys, and that's all fine and good. So anyway, that's one for me. If you guys had to think about something that you would encourage folks to think about going into 2021, something that maybe there's a week, and I'll throw one out as an example here in a second, but maybe something that a lot of people don't take the time to do. So, for example, understanding electronics. I feel like that ought to be a New Year's resolution for a lot of people. Get on YouTube. Go book a trip with several different guides and learn your electronics. I feel like that's a really good example, for one.
One thing I was speaking at a little event, and one thing that 2020 really showed me and rolling into 2021 is just get out there.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was able to get out more. Everybody was able to get out more with the family. And I mean, there was more boats and campers sold this past year than you could ever imagine. But people didn't have to force themselves to take that time for them and the family to go to the lake.
Right.
Now, as things start to get back rolling into this motion of normal,
See?
let's not lose that
Right.
time
Right.
of getting the family
Yeah.
out into the lake or camping or hiking
Yeah.
or hunting or whatever it may be.
Keep it a priority.
Don't let this normal overtake what now you've seen what you can do.
Right.
That's been a big thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah, there's record numbers. I mean, the MDC waived fishing permits there back in April-ish, if I remember correctly, for 2 or 3 weeks. And like record numbers of people, boat sales and RV sales, like you said, out of control, where there's 4 or 5 months lead time on actually getting a boat.
We were talking the other day at G3, and I know there's a fiberglass boat company that's kind of in the same thing. Don't have the 2021 catalogs. Let's see, 2021. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
2021 catalogs aren't finished yet. But even if you were to order a boat, you probably wouldn't get a 2021 model. Right?
Wow.
Because
It'd be 2022?
orders are so just unreal.
And
August.
because of the COVID outbreak is still affecting workers
Production.
and production and how many they
Getting
can build.
stuff.
Yeah.
Getting
Yeah,
parts.
it's just
Getting parts is a lot of it too.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Pieces and parts are not readily available like they used to be.
So it's like almost gonna not skip a year. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that because people have already
Right.
ordered the boat,
Right.
but like the catalogs aren't even done. You're rolling into the next deal line.
Mhm.
My boat, Luke just texted me not too long ago, but my boat was ordered in October,
Uh-huh.
and I think it just came in like a few days ago.
Oh my gosh.
'Cause it took that long,
Yeah.
to get here. And now the company's going to come up. They're going to wrap the
Mhm.
boat and the truck next week. And
And it's a nitro.
Triton.
Try.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
So I had someone wanted to buy my boat the other day, and I'm like,
yeah,
then what am I gonna do?
it's like
Yeah.
unless you buy what's on the lot,
yeah.
it's like
I'm not getting nothing.
order boat is
Yeah.
just almost out of the question.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to fish this year,
Yeah.
and guide trips are kind of important for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some days.
Yeah. Goodness gracious.
Well, my New Year's resolution is, and I've thought long and hard about this.
Mm.
I'm going to try to spend more time on the water and less time on the golf course.
Oh, okay.
Golf course.
Yeah, I played.
I was gonna go the other way.
I played a ridiculous amount of golf in 2020, and I'm lucky enough to be fishing some pretty nice events in 2021, and I'd like to conjure up some of my old mojo.
Yeah.
So I've got to put forth, just like anything, you have to put forth the effort.
Yeah.
So I got to get some more time on the water like I used to put in.
Yeah.
And so I'm really looking forward to it. There's opportunities out there in 2021, and looking forward to it. I also want to say one thing, and that is when the COVID pandemic hit and they shut everything down back in March,
Yeah.
last year, Dave's Custom Baits went 3 solid months, and I never had a paint job to do, a bait to carve, or anything. And it was just at a standstill, and I was like, oh, wow. So, hence, more golf.
Yeah.
But I am blessed beyond belief to be able to have the customers that I do, and I am so busy right now painting baits
Yeah.
and making baits and stuff like that. So my gratitude is off the chart for all that.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to verbalize that.
Yeah, that's freaking awesome. It's been tough on a lot of people. I mean, a lot of folks couldn't make it 3 months without shutting down forever. And that's impacted a lot of people. So I can empathize with what you're saying. Yeah, kind of crazy. But yeah, all good New Year's resolutions. And like you said, and I've just found this in life in general, when you really put your mind to something and you work at it, like people always say, well, you got a little bit lucky. It's like, well, yeah, but I've always been a big believer you make your own luck.
Yep.
If you
100%.
if you just keep at it and keep grinding, things will fall into place. There might be some bumps and bruises along the way, and you might not be able to see, past that very far. But man, if you just nose down, freaking go.
Opportunity
Yep.
meets preparation,
Yep.
and that's where you create your own luck.
Yep. So it, fine. If you want to tell me I'm lucky, then fine. I can guarantee you I freaking made that luck happen.
Yep.
'Cause I've been
Absolutely.
just like everyone around this table. So
The more you practice, the luckier you get.
That's
yeah,
right.
that's
exactly right.
you do the right thing, things seem to just fall into place, It's like, not to like trivialize it down to me shooting a deer, but like, dude, I was in the woods every freaking waking moment for the last month trying to find that deer. And this morning, when I woke up at 6:45, 45 minutes after my alarm, 10 minutes from shooting time, like, I almost thought about not going. And I was like, no, it's the last day. I got to go. Alternative methods. And decided, okay, everything else hasn't worked. I'm doing something completely different. Sat in a stand. No one sat in all year. Got in late. Got in at 7:15. Can shoot for 15 minutes already. Underdressed, thinking I'd have a heater in the blind. And now I got to the blind. There was no heater. So I was sitting there. But lo and behold, the deer start pouring out. And boom, here's the big shooter. And it's like, gosh darn it, there's no reason why. I mean, I don't know. Like you and I were talking
It
about
all
that.
happens for a
It's
reason,
like,
dude.
God dang. And like it just got me thinking, like,
Open-mindedness.
I'm telling you.
I got it done, and then they had a bunch of other stuff to do. Had to go shoot video at Englishport Marine today, and David McCormick and I went down there, and he and I talked about, like, hey, let's go down and shoot this, and then if we have time, we'll get back and we'll go get in the stand and try to shoot this deer. We weren't gonna have time to go back and get in the stand, so I was like thinking, like it had to happen in the
Big
morning.
man had a plan, I'm
And
telling you.
it did. And so just, I don't know, you might read too much into stuff, but it's,
I don't.
when you break it down,
I
it's
told
like,
you. I
it's
told you.
like,
I was like,
gosh darn
I'm
it.
glad you shot that gun.
Yeah, I know it. I had a lot of confidence in it. Way more confidence after a shot. It hadn't been shot in like 3 years. My dad was 2 for 2 on bucks with it with like the last 7 or 8 years. So I just put a board down there, shot it, bullseye at almost 100 yards. I'm like, okay.
He was over the other night. He's like, hey, my dad's got this stupid 7, right?
What's that?
No, it's a
It's 7mm
7
8.
millimeter 08. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, it's pistol. And I was like, oh yeah. I was like, pretty cool when he's talking about shooting or whatever. He's like, yeah, I haven't shot it. He's killed two deer, but that was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I was like, don't you think you should
Yeah.
shoot it? Like,
Yeah.
make sure. So he did.
It gets taken out of the case to get used once a year, put back in. So I'm like, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But,
Got to grind it on.
but and it was like last weekend. I saw that buck that I shot. I saw him last weekend. I had 4 opportunities at him, but
Yeah, that's when we were talking.
yeah, and I'm like, it was always for 1 or 2 seconds going through the brush, and I was on him. Could have taken the shot, but I just was like, no, I'm not going to do it. Like, not going to do it, not going to rush that shot, couldn't get him to stop. And, like, looking back, the whole process, it's like, oh my gosh, like, freaking, it was meant to be today.
That's right.
So,
That's cool.
anyway, kind of cool. But again, just going back to, you kind of make your own luck, keep at it, and, hopefully everyone else has a much better 2021. 2020 was good for Truman Lake Fishing Intel, I'll tell you that. We had a lot of growth, really cool. Going back to David's theme of having some really awesome gratitude. I mean, to all the members that have already become members, it's very, very cool to see the reception of the website. The Fish Intel brand is expanding. There's Grand Lake Fish Intel now. If you're interested in Grand Lake, not one that I run, just another guy named Chance Davis that runs that one, but it's a really cool concept. And there's a reason why it's taking off, because it provides a ton of value. You're not going to see that information anywhere else other than websites like this. So we really appreciate all of you guys. I really appreciate all of these guys for helping to make it happen. I love to fish, been fishing my whole life, but to make Truman Lake Intel go requires these guys. So really appreciate all of you, and it's going to be a really fun 2021, that is for certain. Did any of you guys have anything else that you wanted to add? Because I think we're about wrapped up at this point in time.
Happy New Year.
Yep. And Happy New Year. Stay safe and healthy, and we're looking forward to a ton of these videos to come. Quick reminder, we're doing a giveaway. Share this video. Tag 3 friends. We're giving away 3 Pro Plus memberships within the week. So I'm going to do a giveaway every month this year for a Pro Plus membership giveaway. So a lot of other exciting stuff that's planned that'll get announced later on. So with that, I want to just recap everybody. Jeff Falkenberry, Endless Season Guide Service. Hunter Bowling, who is part of Richard Bowling's Guide Service. Dylan Stocking of Get Outdoors Guide Service. David Ryan of Dave's Custom Baits. They make the world go round here at Truman Lake Fishing Intel. Tons of great knowledge. Be sure to check them out on all of their social media pages. And if you have any questions for future videos, you can reach out to Truman Lake Fishing Intel. You can reach out to these guys. We'll do our best to answer anything and everything that you guys have. We appreciate you for watching and being followers and members. And here's to a exciting 2021. Thanks a bunch for watching. Take care.